This is the I Know Podcast, where we're all about healthy debate, honest conversation, and talking beer junk. Information, knowledge, observation.
This is the I Know Podcast. I-N-O. Information, knowledge, observation. Also, I know nothing. Big up for dark skin man like Kofi.
Yo.
Romar, as well know, ain't here with us. He in Canada.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. or R.I.P.?
I said R.I.P.
No, you said R.I.P. That would have been
Wrong parts.
fitting.
Snobberies.
Big up for Malik Mosey, who is our producer man. Being Ruben Down Productions, right? We got a special guest. Anyway, big up Romar. We didn't say.
Oh, you coming to me?
No, we get it.
Special guest and then
Me, I thought so too. I was like, but not right now. Big up Romar.
You need to get an introduction. Yeah. But I just want to say that since the Dr. Carrington interview, that inspired Romar to go and get tested and came back negative. So my man is STD.
He got 63% STD. That was a good time. At least he passed.
Yeah. So he good. I ain't gonna lie. I had hopes with man B.
Wow. But me, I guess I get you.
I play. Big up Romar, man. I'm glad that he went though, and anybody that has not been in a while and never went,
just go.
Especially people that never went. I think you need to go. Anyway, off STDs, and we're on to something good. So,
It's my turn.
yeah. So, this is Christa.
Hi.
Christa is a psychologist, and you specialize in trauma.
Yeah.
And I know you from... I've respected you for a long time. I've admired you for a long time. And it's one of them things that I would still keep out, like, that's a conversation I would keep out our friendship just because it's weird. But honestly, you always were somebody that was a step ahead of everybody your age, I feel. And it's one of them things that you never had to admit it. You could just see it, like, because you would be part of a lot of activist stuff. And before it was cool to be an activist on social media, you're actually like on the ground doing stuff. Like you saw Barbados for like what it could be as opposed to like what it was. So because of that, anyway, that is why I wanted to bring you on, and I wanted to like run some things by you.
Okay.
Right. Anyway, so hello.
Hi, Marcus.
I have to work on the introductions, by the way.
I was going to say, you cut off the previous one for that.
Yeah, hi.
Hey, man, what's up?
So,
Yes.
I guess we could kind of start...
Hi, guys.
We could kind of start with what made you want to be a psychologist?
Okay. There's no sob story behind it, really. I think sometimes you just know what your calling is, and I knew from the beginning that it was to help. Just naturally, that was me, and so I was a good listener. And then naturally, people say, you could be a good therapist, and I thought, oh, okay, talk all day, okay, until I, realized what it was, and I said, you know what, this is where I want to be. And, as you said, I started activism very early, and it was just from seeing things happening in the world. And through that, I saw the need for therapists in Barbados, and I said, okay, well, that's it. And from the get-go, I just knew that's where I'd be.
Yeah.
Plus, I couldn't be a doctor because I'm afraid of blood, so...
That was the next closest thing.
You could be a dentist, though.
There's still blood?
Yeah, it's
Right,
got bleeding gums and things.
Yeah.
No, blood is not it.
Okay. Okay, so more specifically when it comes to trauma, what kind of patients do you see?
It's mostly rape victims, but the thing about it is that trauma could be anything, right? So somebody who gets into an accident, for example, or somebody who found out that they're HIV positive could be traumatic for them. But my specialty from the beginning would be persons who experience sexual violence or domestic violence. So, yeah.
For what you've seen so far, dealing with these patients, and especially in Barbados, what trends do you see with the perpetrators? Do you see any trends at all?
Well, statistics show usually a lot of these things start with people that you know. So you're gonna find the cases where A female may go out and something may happen, but unfortunately, you're seeing a lot of stuff happen at home. And one of the things that bother me as well is that when a patient comes, it's not usually something that happened last week or happened last month. It's something that happened when they were a child, and now they're seeing the effects of it. Or unfortunately, it may have happened again, and then now they realize, you know, I really need to see somebody. But abuse has always been a very hush-hush thing, especially if it's in a family. You know, I don't want to upset anybody, don't let anybody know. So, you know, a child now has to take that into being a teenager and hold on to that. And then as an adult, you know, have difficulties maybe interacting with a partner, or, you know, repression, which is you just hold this in. One day somebody, it can be any random person tell you something, and then boom, you just explode, right? Because you haven't dealt with it properly. So those are some of the challenges, you know, that you'd see.
What made you choose, you know, rape victims particularly as opposed to any other kind of trauma?
Well, I've had some experiences that made me uncomfortable. I've had friends who've had experiences as well. So naturally, I thought it would have been a good fit. But sometimes just, I guess it's divine intervention. I studied in Jamaica. I couldn't find a practicum placement. And it just so happened my practicum in Jamaica happened to be rape victims. When I had to do it here, it happened to be rape victims as well. So like sometimes things just fit, it just all work together. Not everybody could be a trauma counselor, because every patient I see, you know, depending on the setting, it's every day talking to rape victims. So from the time I realized this is something that I could do, you know, I wouldn't leave it, because you don't have many therapists that would be able to deal with it either. So,
what are some of the things that have, like, your mindset has changed towards when it comes to rape, and what have you learned from doing it so far?
I think, you know, personally, everybody, remember I was talking about the hush-hush type of behavior, is, you know, for me, it can't be hush-hush anymore. So being a little louder about it. So being able to, from the time I notice something's happening, encouraging people to talk about it. And it made me feel uncomfortable as well, because that's how we've been socialized. Something happens like this, you're not supposed to talk. So for me, it's like we need a louder voice. So it's causing me to be a little louder. What I have learned would be really the necessity. And not only the necessity for rape victims, so when I say trauma counseling, people who have like HIV.
When you say necessity, you kind of threw me off a bit.
How?
Necessity of what?
Of therapists.
Right,
sorry, sorry. Right, sorry, the necessity of therapists, right? But a lot of things that people don't consider, for example, you go and you get tested, you find out that you were HIV positive. That's a traumatic experience. You need to go to a counselor. You find out you have breast cancer or any type of cancer. People, you know, often don't look at, you know, the psychological effects. So what I've learned is that trauma is not only rape victims. So trauma could be anything that's really life-altering.
What about your attitude towards men? Has that changed because of the whole rape victim?
I would say I try not to. Maybe the first time I probably felt a way about it, but I did counsel or have the opportunity to counsel and work with men who have been perpetrators. And so through that process, I would say, yes, I understand, but it is hard.
So when they come to you, like from a place of remorse? The perpetrators, I mean.
Yes.
Okay.
So when they come, why do they? Well, I guess you can't really give your specific. But why do they usually say that they rape somebody?
I don't know that there's necessarily a reason. The truth is, if I'm going to say A, I have to say B. A lot of people, yes, we focus on the rape victims, but somebody who could violate another person in that way should go to counseling as well. So the reason is going to be different, because you're going to have people who were raped as well and end up doing the same thing. All right? It's not going to be all the time. But I know I may get some licks for it, but people who, men or women who end up being the perpetrators, they also need to come to counseling as well. It's not only for survivors.
You get licks for that. That makes perfect sense.
I think because the assumption is that all that rapists should be
Horrible
ostracized.
people,
Should be ostracized, and what they shouldn't get is help. They should
Right.
more just be like.
You already know my stance on rehabilitation. I don't think you should go to jail to be locked away from the public. It should be a place of rehabilitation where you become a better person. So that makes perfect sense to me.
Right. And counseling is going to be a really important part of that as well.
You ever had like patients that like weren't aware that that's what they were doing?
I think at the point where somebody goes to therapy, especially because it's like a self-referral, they know. I haven't had that, but, it could happen. People will come to therapy and say, I'm upset at life because yada, yada, yada. And then when you dive in a little deeper, there's some things that they've gone through or some things that have been happening that they didn't even realize was a problem. And that's a reality as well. So it is what it is.
What about? I get the feeling that like our culture, and I don't know if it's because of Life in Leggings or just what the conversation is now, but it seems like specific to our culture, we have like more of a sexual assault rape issue than other places. Do you think so?
You mean like?
I mean, that's
Barbados?
in general, like Barbados compared to other countries.
I feel like the Caribbean on a whole the Caribbean on a whole, like we real lackadaisical when it comes to any sort of sexual abuse. Like the victims don't like to talk about it because it's embarrassing, and then the perpetrators like denying. It's almost that sort of attitude.
Yeah. I think, which is a bad thing, I don't want to say we've normalized it, but there's so many people, we don't have obviously up-to-date statistics because people aren't reporting, but it happens so often. We all know somebody who it's happened to, but maybe haven't gone to the police or what's not, that, it's clear to see that there is a problem, especially when it's happening in families and we continue to say, don't say anything. And, movements like Life in Leggings and stuff like that, they're allowing women to speak out and, women to say, all right, well, this is not okay. And when we have women doing that, it's something powerful, because now if it happens, I feel like I'm in a safe space to speak. Also for men as well, men are victims of sexual abuse and they tend to not want to come forward as well. And that's a real challenge as well.
I feel like more with men. Well, I would say more with men just because the pressure is like how you could be a man and get raped.
Yeah,
that's
really like you could defend yourself, but you don't want it probably. Yeah, that's her vibe. The same thing, like even when you hear a scenario where the teacher like interfering with the student, if it's a female teacher like with a male student, that's praised. Furthermore, like it just our mindset on it is really weird.
It's how we're socialized, right? Because Caribbean men are macho, so to think, especially, and when we think about macho, we think in a sexual way as well. So when we think about abuse, we're not thinking of it as abuse, we're thinking about it as intercourse, and it isn't, it's abuse.
What do you think about the concept of rape culture, if you ever heard of it?
Yeah. Oh Lord.
Okay, let me explain what my understanding of rape culture is, right? There is this thing that is called rape culture where it's like an ideology that both men and women contribute to, where like it's like sexual harassment, whether it's rape jokes, whether it's sexual assault, whether it's groping somebody. I saw like a list of things, like it's this all called this rape culture because it all contributes to, I guess, the end goal. Well, not the end goal. I would say like the end result being that women get raped. So like, what do you think about that?
I say, oh Lord, because this is something that I have been talking about for a very long time. We have been, even if you think about our jokes, there's always a sexual connotation to jokes. Now that's how we're socialized, right? Sometimes I laugh at a joke and I'm like, wait, hold on. Like, that ain't funny. But
is it that it's not funny, or is it that it's offensive?
Right, it's offensive. Right. So it shouldn't be funny as well. It's really what? But it's offensive. But I get what you're saying. Yes, I get what you're saying. But at the end of the day, the Caribbean, whether we want to accept it or not, we do. We make jokes that are not appropriate, and young boys, girls make the same jokes as well. But also this idea of what we're wearing means, well, you inviting somebody. I don't care what you say. If I go to the beach you're saying that I'm inviting somebody to assault me, right? If I wear a short skirt, you're saying that I'm inviting somebody to assault me. But the argument has always been there are women who are wearing long dresses down to their ankles and still being assaulted. So we can't arm men or women with an excuse. It can't be what I'm wearing. And while I'm here, something that a lot of people get a little iffy about too. Prostitutes can be sexually abused as well. And I had a huge argument, but that can't be true.
No, that's
but let me just put that out there.
I don't know what the argument could be.
I don't know.
Let me just put that out
If
there.
you're a prostitute, if you were selling fruit and they carry your fruit, I'm stealing. So if you're a prostitute and someone rapes you, that is...
Right. I had a huge argument about it, but...
I don't see how you can prove. I'm curious to find out
I
what
will
the
tell
argument was.
y'all are in the minority. But
I refuse to believe that.
I gotta admit, I have an issue with the whole rape culture idea.
Okay.
The reason why is because I don't think that sexual harassment is a steady progression into rape. I think that sexual harassment and rape, to some extent, are two different phenomena. Only because sexual harassment, one, is widespread to the point that I could say, like, default men, the average man has sexually harassed somebody in his life. The reason why he sexually harasses somebody isn't necessarily the reason why somebody rapes somebody. So the reason why, for example, if I am in the workplace and I see a woman and she's wearing really tight pants and I say, yo, your pants look tight, man. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? That's not necessarily coming from a place of, like, I'm going to take off the pants on it because I feel it.
I want to paint a picture for you, right? So you see the girl in tight pants and you say everything looking good, right?
Right.
She got out her car, so a man told her that when he was riding by on his bicycle. She climbed up the stairs, two men walking behind her told her the same thing.
Right.
She walks into the office, somebody says it. She meets you, somebody says it. It is that it's not only, don't think it's only you just making a compliment, to you a compliment. This is something that is continuous, like continuously. I just want to be able to walk and not have somebody seats or stop or talk to me, or if my...
Which I understand, but like, as Marcus said...
harassment.
Which is true, but as Marcus said, like, the end goal isn't rape. Like, when, I don't think I can understand, like, the combination of all of those, like, catcalls or whatever, that is very harassing, that is annoying, that is disgusting, but, like, I don't think each individual one is contributing toward rape.
Okay, I get that, but just think about... I don't want to say rapist, but I just think about a perpetrator, right? The way he's going to start sometimes starts with sexual harassment. He's going to start talking to her. I'm not talking about, and it could be the ones in the family as well. I'm not talking about a one-off case. I'm talking about somebody you met at work. And the person is going to start off saying, I like how you look, da-da-da-da-da. And then every day until it gets more and more and more. So it's not saying that everybody who engages in sexual harassment will turn out to sexually assault a lady. But lots of times when assault happens, it starts with the little things. Because that's how it goes, you know. You're going to start with a little thing, see how far you go, keep going until it gets to another level. But if you know that women are uncomfortable with it, now you're gonna have a friend that you may say something to and she'll be fine with it, but somebody you ain't know. And I imagine my experience, well, not my experience, but the experience I'm talking about, where every single time you walk in, somebody's saying something like that, mentally draining.
So okay. So by the way, for anybody listening, we're not saying sexual harassment is okay.
No.
But
yes, I get
basically what you're saying is, in that event, if we say that the average man has engaged in sexual harassment at some point in his life, we can say that the average man is also a potential rapist.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that...
But if it's a steady progression...
I think she's saying every rapist...
I'm saying that...
probably started as a sexual
harassment. Right, it could have started as sexual harassment as well. So if, it's uncomfortable.
Right.
And so you got to understand, it's not... Somebody ain't just coming and pouncing on you. Sometimes it starts with the little things, and then it gets further.
I can say I'm trying to word myself real particular, but I can just say, to some men, what might be so strange about that is that anytime a female like compliments us, that does run our day. Like that's you know what I mean? Like when a stranger tells you something nice, that does really build up your day. So I think that we probably sometimes see it as like the reverse of that. Like, I just made this woman's day, and not that we harassing her.
It depends on what you say too. Like I've had a man come and smell me in my neck.
Yeah, that's like,
and I'd be like, that's not it. That's
What
not it.
do you mean? Like,
but how about meeting somebody for the first time and just saying hi, right? So the next thing too is, if you know the person, I can't see you going and saying, I really like how that blouse is fitting you. Right. To somebody you don't know.
But you know that some people, hi is also seen as harassment too, depending on who it is.
Okay.
But I've just heard
good morning.
I've heard it.
no,
you say
I feel like, I don't know, Marcus, I feel like when certain men look at certain women in tone, like, good morning.
But like, it's any interaction.
Yeah,
but you gotta understand what women is go through on a day-to-day basis.
No, I understand that. But for us to say that a man saying hi, if a woman doesn't like it, that's totally fine. But to put it under the umbrella of something that is entitled rape culture, that is something I find something.
Because really and truly, there's no like standard correct way to approach any woman. Yeah, there is not.
Yeah.
I mean, you just have to be mindful, and what I would say is to be respectful. So, for commenting on my clothes if I don't know you, commenting on how I smell, things like that. Like, people have come out and said, I like your hair, especially if my hair is down. Somebody would say, I really like your hair, or, things like that. And sometimes it is how it is done. So somebody I don't know come to say, like, how that pants fitting you. I've heard before, I don't want to see you coming, but I like to see you leaving. I'd be like, I don't know you.
I don't want to see you coming. That was a very bad picture.
I think so too, right?
That's terrible.
But I think I've heard that before too.
I don't want to see you coming.
I know. Thank you very much.
We'll just leave that there.
I get it, but I mean, why would you just say it? Well, forget it. That's...
But Arlie's gonna kill me for using him as an example. But
for him.
one day, my boyfriend came and he was like, Christa, I got something to tell you. You would not believe. I think he'd gone to Sheraton and some lady just come up to him and was talking. He dresses neat. So coming up to him, talking to him and touching his arm and he's like, I don't know this lady. Like, what the hell? And it was really random. And him coming and he telling me how uncomfortable he felt with one encounter. I said, Arlie, I go in Sheraton and it happened like 4 or 5 times. Like, what are you talking about?
But what's funny too, I have a friend of mine that she lived in England for a while, and she was like, she felt really unattractive because whenever she left, no one tells her anything. So it's a
person-to-person thing, but at the same time, I think a general rule should be that if you see a lady on the street, be as respectful as possible. Right. Whether it's good morning, hi, hello.
But what I'm saying, isn't there like, I don't want to say a benefit. I don't want to use that word, but like...
you're being nice and you could brighten somebody's day. But you could look at a woman's face and say that she don't want you to say hi or anything else. No?
Valid.
Yeah. And I hate the line like when... Like, sometimes you're so busy and you walk in and a fellow tell you about smile or some foolishness. I'd be like, right. Not today. I don't know you.
So you don't like the whole smile thing. You're against the smile.
I don't like and you in my personal space and be like, you so pretty, just smile and then touching your face and thing.
I'm gonna throw something at you, right? But I also want to ask you a question about before we move off of the whole rape culture thing. Because the idea of the whole rape culture thing is that most men are potential rapists because of all these things that we do, whether it's rape jokes, whether it's harassment or whatever, that all these things contribute to the
rape culture.
Yeah. And there's a difference between saying that most or all rapes are done by men, and then the difference is saying that all men rape, right? So I see it like crime. Right? Most crime is done by men, but a small subset of men do majority of the crime. Right? The average man isn't out there like committing crimes, right? Not a criminal. But I find that men get demonized to a point where people expect that just the average person, that because you say good morning, because you say hi, because you pay a woman attention, that means you can be a potential rapist and you have to prove otherwise.
I get what you're saying. Like, you don't think it's fair that we have to prove we're not a rapist.
No, I don't even think that is fair. It's just that I don't think it's helpful for the relationships between men and women on the whole.
Yeah, right.
For women to this, I think women is understandable if women are.
It's like saying you have hands, you gotta prove you're not a thief.
Yeah.
But again, understanding that where we live, there's so many women who have been victimized, who've actually had the experience or had experience nearby, that it is only natural to be cautious. So yes, there is a repercussion, and that may be it, but to be honest, it is what it is, because for me to let down my guard is something that I will not do, even if I'm walking. Well, not alone, but say walking with my sister, I'm always very apprehensive, like, okay, there's some strange people around, what's not. But that is the reality, that's where we live. And there's really nothing that you could do about it. What we can do right now is when we have children, to teach our boys and our girls, no is no, and to set boundaries, because we don't have boundaries. So to set boundaries, and now with the people that have experienced sexual abuse, to encourage them to come to counseling. And then those who have actually been perpetrators, which I want to bring home as well, they need counseling as well. And that's a big point.
I don't think that any kind of clothing that a woman wears warrants sexual harassment or assault, etc.
Right.
But
I hear people that are listening.
But to teach women that clothing is not communicative is very misleading to me, right?
Why?
If I see a woman walking, then she's wearing a bikini, I can assume she's either going to or just came from the beach. That is a correct assumption. If I see that same woman standing up on Nelson Street in the same bikini at night at 10 o'clock at night, I can assume she's a prostitute, and chances are I could be correct about that.
Or
too.
she could be crossing the road and
she
still
could
in
be
her
crossing
beach
the road and
clothes,
still in
and
her
you
beach
see
clothes.
her over there.
Yes, but the idea that clothing is not communicative, right? I think that there's no relationship between how people view you and what you're wearing, I think is very misleading. And here's the thing, right? Okay. So when people say don't tell women what to not wear, tell men what to not do. Like, don't tell men to not sexually harass them, whatever. Here's a news flash, right? If it was that easy just to tell men stop doing bad things, the world would be a better place. But the reality is there are bad people that are going to do bad things. And we need to do what we can to minimize the chances that those things will happen to us. No. A lot of sexual experiences that things that go left, right? Sexual assault, sexual harassment usually involve drinks, right? Not to mention, if you're leaving home and you are wearing revealing clothes, that increases your sexual attractiveness, right? A sexual invitation, not necessarily in terms of people touching you or talking to you, but just their eyes. You're very appealing, right? Right. The more attention that you get, the more of a chance that you're going to get attention from the wrong person. That wrong person at a drinks-free fete with drinks in him, right? Chances are, and these are hyper-aggressive, half-drunk men. If I tell a woman, listen, what you are wearing is revealing, right? I would say, wear what you want to wear, because they want you to wear whatever you want to wear and be comfortable. However, I would say, I would prefer if you go with people that you know and people that can protect you in the event things go left. But we can't even have that conversation anymore simply for the fact that people say, don't tell women what to do. And I find that to be very, very dangerous.
I wish you didn't word half of what you said the way you said it. But you made some really good points.
I thought so too, but the wording is
like that part when you said not sexual attraction, not you being you've mentioned the eyes. And you said
sexually inviting, not in terms of attention.
Exactly, that's
not
a very good point.
Not necessarily harassment or assault.
Very good point. And then you said, if you dress like that, you'll get more attention, and you could get more attention from the wrong people because you. That is a very, very, very valid point.
Right, and you think that. So it's kind of like even if say me and Kofi are driving, right, and we're driving at night, and we're going to a party, right, and Kofi stops somewhere to park, and we go, and I tell Kofi, park under a street light. Because they out here got enough people breaking into cars and things, right? So I'm saying, find ways to make sure that there's a little chance that things can happen to you. Doesn't mean that there's a guarantee, but be cognizant of your surroundings, right? I think that we need to kind of do that kind of thing for women. And if a man advises a woman respectfully, right, and with good intentions, I don't really see anything wrong with that. But that ain't really the narrative.
I think, like, I agree with you, but I think a lot of women seeing it as, like, them men want them white knight. Them don't need a man to...
Ain't no white knight.
I get what you're saying. That ain't vibe, but...
So, remember earlier you asked why men have to pay for the rape culture and what's not, right?
I was like, earlier podcast, like, what are you talking about?
Yes.
Yeah,
And this is the reason. The whole parking, like, I know it was an example, but all the precautions we have to take.
Right.
But when you go in the supermarket, no matter how much you like a particular product, if you ain't had the money, you can't pick it up and walk out the supermarket with it. We have to teach men, it does not matter what I have on. My clothes have nothing to do with you. It doesn't matter how I'm walking, things like that. It is not your right to come and put your hands on a woman and think you can take. And let's not get it twisted. Rape is not about attraction. Rape is about power. Rape is, and that's why women who have long dresses, who may have on the hijab and stuff like that, are still victims of rape. It doesn't matter what you're wearing. Rape is about power. So I understand your apprehension, especially with clothes and things like that, but you don't know what it's like that every time you go out, you have to be always conscious. You never feel free. I want to be able to put on clothes, feel how I want to feel, and leave. And so women now don't want the restriction anymore.
Right.
And they want the same way where before I had to be restricted. If you feel you can't control yourself, you need to be restricted because that's your behavior. I can't control your behavior like that. So yes, you may be attracted, but you have to be responsible for your behavior. If I see you got this shirt and I'm attracted to you because of this shirt and I can see all your chest and everything, then maybe you should go and take it off and go and put on one of them big Taurus shirts because you attracted me and you don't know what I could do.
Right.
And it's not fair to women to constantly be saying what you have on means yada, yada, yada. Yes, you're attracted, but you have to control yourself. And rape will never be about what we have on. Rape will always be about men who want power, and that's the way they feel that they could get it.
I mean, the thing is, I agree.
1,000%.
You know what I think it is? I am very pessimistic about humanity, right?
Right, so you think there will always be bad people in the world. Like, as much as we try to control everyone, there will always be bad people in the world.
There are good people, there are bad people that don't know anybody that can change, and they're just malicious, malevolent, disgusting
So you're saying
people.
control, man, and I agree 1,000%.
But you have to be, you have to put your precautions, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not going to walk somewhere by myself. I understand where I live. I understand how things could go. So therefore I'm going to take the precautions, and I understand that. As far as saying, okay, but I don't want no man to walk me anywhere, I'm going to do it myself, that's not me. So I'm going to take the precautions to make sure, you know, nothing happens.
Those women exist though.
I know, but
like they, and that, I think that's what Marcus like want focus.
I can't help you with that one.
right. The thing is,
but it's freeing. Imagine for them, you know, it's just to be free and say, you know, I don't want to have to rely on anybody. I can take care of myself. The difference may be that I don't feel that I could take care of myself. So yes, I will walk in pairs. I don't go to the bathroom by myself. Somebody always goes. Sometimes I see my sister going to the bathroom and I'm like, that's not it.
Yeah.
You gotta come with me. As I wait till she come back. It's okay, you gotta come with me.
Can I do that? Can I like
carry him out to the bathroom?
No. No, like, okay, for example, there. Let me give you just a generic scenario. There are times that I was with my ex, and she was going out, and she looked amazing, right? And I was like, where are you going? She was like, a dub. And I was like, okay, who are you going with? Then she called like 3 girls' names, and I'm like, okay, first thing, a dub means I can assume that security isn't, you know,
The
primo.
best.
Exactly. Yeah, you understand? And in the event that something happens and it's just you and your 3 girlfriends and it's an overpowering man, I am not comfortable with that. Am I allowed to say that is not a good idea? I would rather you not go. Because right now, what the conversation is that regardless if you got a point or if it's reasonable or not, you are not allowed to tell a woman that is not a good idea. And
well, there's a difference between saying that's not a good idea and you cannot go.
Okay. Yeah.
So it is how you say. So if I have an impression of the event that I'm going to go to and I think, you know what, this is okay for me, then who are you to tell me it isn't? Now you can voice your concern and say, you know, I don't think that this is, you know, the best idea, so, you know, just take it under consideration, or I don't know if you could go with her, or if she would want somebody else to go, like things like that. Like, you know, there's certain things. This week I had to do a presentation in St. Lucie, and it started around 7, so I knew it'd finish around 9. I don't drive to St. Lucie. I don't even know how
people was there like...
Yes,
like,
people were there, thank you very much. And Arlie was like, you know, I really don't feel comfortable with you driving. I was like, well, I could drive. And he said, yeah, Christa, but late, and, you know, you don't really know St. Lucie that well. So I said, well, all right, I understand where you're coming from. Sure, you could take me. So there is a give and take. There's another time where he's going to be like, I don't think you should go. And I said, well, I'm going, so too bad. I'll call you, or I'll message you. He has to be okay with that.
Yeah, I get that.
But,
so.
you know, you just have to respect the opinion, and then, you know, she has to make her own decision.
Agreed.
So it's not you can't go, it is, you know, consider this.
But
that's what you said, though. You didn't say you can't go.
I would say that I honestly, it was one of the situations I would feel uncomfortable, and I would not go to sleep until you get back home.
But that's good.
That's one of them sort of
Men need
vibes,
to do that sometimes.
Yeah. You also mentioned HIV and the fact that people, you know, go through that whole trauma. But you said that you don't think that many people that actually get diagnosed factor in that they may need psychological evaluation.
Yeah. Anytime you get any type of bad news, you know, you're gonna be shook, right? And so the way I take news will be different from the way you guys take news, right? And so one of the worries that you'd have would be things like depression creeping in, even things like suicide, for example. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't think about the mental health challenges, and they are very real. And so one of the things that I've always said would be like, even funding, like when we're looking at funding for HIV projects, always consider the psychological. Even for things like breast cancer, consider the psychological. You should always have a therapist. From the time that diagnosis happens, a therapist should be there. Now, the funding may not be there, and you may have to go for external funding, but we can't just leave people and just focus on the physical, because lots of these illnesses are physical and psychological, and depression is real. Especially with somebody who has HIV, because your entire life has changed, right? But unfortunately, people don't take me or psychology seriously.
But isn't it? I don't think it's always the case that they don't. As you said, funding might just not be there, and you might not see the benefit of going into debt to talk to a therapist.
Exactly, but that's why, like, you know, programs like this is important, because now we're raising awareness. And hopefully the culture changes when it comes to how we treat particular illnesses. But I am aware that there are funding challenges, but it's something that you can't forget.
So how come is funding challenges for like a psychologist, but people like go to the doctor and dentist so easy?
Well, people don't. It's two different things. So one, you're going to see there's symptoms that you can see. Right? So I'm going to go to the doctor. If I have a cough, I'm going to go to the doctor because that is a real threat that I can feel. Mental health challenges, sometimes you don't take it seriously, right? Because when you think of death, you're thinking about a physical illness, of course. But for mental challenges, you're thinking, oh, I could just go on the internet and read something, or I could watch a nice video. And unfortunately, lots of people do that, but still battling depression. And until we see mental illness as a real illness, people are going to continue to suffer. So
right. I wonder, like you told me on the phone too, on WhatsApp, that mental health is not covered by insurance. Right. I did not know that. That is retarded. Well, that is crazy. That is crazy.
Retarded is the correct word, bro. I don't know what that means.
Well,
like, my brain controls my body.
Yeah.
My body is insured. I mean, going one step further.
Yeah. I don't know why though.
Again, people don't take it seriously. So if you go to a psychiatrist, maybe that would be covered because the psychiatrist is a medical doctor. But for psychology, I don't know if, you know, there is somebody out there that I haven't seen, but I know patients constantly ask, we constantly check, and right now the ones that we've checked don't cover psychotherapy. And again, we don't take it seriously. So, and then, you know, a doctor's visit is a one-off something. When you go to therapy, you're going to have 10 sessions.
That's like $150, like, that's $1,500 gone, like, when you look at it like that.
Right.
In 10 sessions.
Do you...
But your mental health altogether afterwards.
Which is, I know, which is great, which is worth it. But it's $1,500.
Yes.
Which some people just don't have to spare.
Do you what are some of the indicators for somebody listening that would know that they're going through like something and they need mental health?
Well, there's so many disorders, but I mean, it's a feeling that you know, like, all right, take for example, if you feel moody. So you know when you feel moody and you come out of it and you're fine. But if you feel that you're constantly stuck in a particular state, or it happens very often, or, you know, sometimes we describe it as just not feeling right, and it's continuously, and it's affecting how you function, things like going to work, things that you are accustomed doing, you just feel that you can't do it.
At me.
Right. But it's a little more severe. So things like depression, for example, you know when you have a depressed mood, but when it gets to the point where you can't, you know, you feel you can't, not that you feel you can't move, like sometimes literally you can't move, you feel stuck, you've had, sometimes you're thinking about suicide a lot more often, you start thinking about plans and stuff like that, then you know, okay, well, you know, something may not be right. But we know it's not, we know when we're not right, you know. But, you know, we brush it off, or we go on WebMD, or, you know, we Google it and, you know, try to get over it. But for some people, that's not going to work.
But what are like some of the like the smaller things before it gets that bad that you get, like before you get to like that catatonic state, like before that, like when you're just feeling like really down, or for example like a bad breakup. So I went to a psychologist before for a bad breakup, right? Well, partially, and then other things too, right? And I like the grief that I felt was immense, right? And the way that I see people online like talking about their breakup and their world like crashing around them, and I guess because it's just people see it as a breakup, they just see it as like, oh, this is just a normal thing. But some people give off some signs though that they actually need mental help, like, because it's difficult, and it's hard for me to know when they actually need mental help, like that breaking point where they need mental help, and when it's just something they can recover from.
I mean, unfortunately, sometimes you have to wait for the person to see, okay, well, something is wrong. And then there are times where, as an outsider, you may see some changes in behavior, but you also have to, you know, time is important. After a breakup, after you're grieving, you need some time, because you need to figure out, is this grief or is this something a little more? So that's just something to know as well. But you know, at an individual level, you know, you're hoping that the person gets some insight and, you know, they're able to, like how you would recognize, okay, something's off, and then they go. But to tell you that there's a telltale sign, you know, not really. Sometimes people show symptoms, you know, in different ways. But you'd notice a friend who's just staying in bed, crying all day, not wanting to leave home, talking about suicide and all these different things continuously. And it's serious that you go, you visit, and you realize, no, something is really not right. You know, you'll have those cases, of course, but it's a little difficult.
Yeah, because I don't know, like I see a lot of people going through like anxiety, and I see a lot of people going through like small stages of depression, and it's hard for me to say like they actually need professional help. But the thing that everybody says is that psychology doesn't work, and they went before and they tried it, and it was. What do you think about that? What do you think people saying that psychology doesn't really do anything? Therapists.
Well, if somebody has tried it and it didn't work for them, my recommendation is to try another therapist, or it depends on what the issue is that they came to the therapist with. All right? Because, you know, you could go to a therapist, the therapist is trying to help, but there's something else that's going on. So I'd want to get a whole backstory, but I can tell you personally that I have seen the benefits of therapy myself, and I've had patients who have, made an entire 360. So I can speak to the power of therapy, especially for trauma. Yeah. And just in general, I know that it's helpful. And I also know what happens when you don't go and you think you can solve it by yourself.
How do you determine what's a traumatic experience from what isn't? Like, if somebody comes to you and it seems like, I don't know.
Anything could be trauma. Somebody's cat dying could be trauma.
It depends on the individual, how they take it. Right.
So, okay, but then how do you know that their symptoms are, I guess, enough for you to say that this is, I can classify this as a traumatic case now. This is one, as opposed to just something else.
But for trauma, anything, I'm talking about the person's reaction to it. So not trauma in the sense of only things like abuse or accidents or stuff like that, but something that literally rocks the person's world. I have a friend who, I'm not a dog lover. I've never really had dogs and stuff like that. But I have a friend who loves her dog like a child. And so every time I see her interact with the dog, I know that is love. It may sound silly to some people, but you could see that is love. Now for me, if you see me with a dog, I mean my aunt has 2 dogs, I'm just like, hey, touch a little. I would feed them and what's not. But my my attachment to them would be very different. So again, it would depend on the person and what they deem. Because if anything were to happen to her dog, it would be a traumatic experience. But anything happened to my dog, I would probably have to be there for my aunt. But it would not impact me in the way it would impact her.
I want you to hear this, something that I've been researching for a while, right? Especially with women, that women go through anxiety and depression more than men, right? Especially major depression. And I think it's getting worse now because of like social media, and there's a lot of constant comparisons for women. So when men and women post on social media, first thing, I think women post more than men, but also when women post and when men post, women more use the front-facing camera. Men more post the back camera, which can also mean women more post about themselves and how they look.
Very personal.
But men more post what they're doing, right? Or what they have, something like that. And when you put yourself up on this pedestal for ridicule or criticism and stuff and comparisons, I find that to be a lot more like risky, especially when it comes to your own like personal feelings and stuff. So I would like to know like what you can tell women specifically, how to kind of avoid those situations, especially knowing that they're prone to anxiety and depression.
I mean, on one end, we may be asking them to be a little exclusive, especially socially, because that's where the world is, right? We're no longer playing outside. Our playground is now social media. And so one would be the risk of I don't want to say not being cool because that sounds lame, but not being included socially. But then, yes, on the other hand, you've opened yourself to a lot more criticism. And so the best of both worlds would be to teach women that, although it's going to be hard, that you have to be sure within yourself. And so if somebody says this to you, you have to at least understand that, this is not you. This is something that they're going through. But that's easier said than done. And unfortunately, there's no easy answer.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to ask you, because I have no idea, like, I usually don't...
Hold on, I need water. I'm about to cough again.
I know you drink water.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Okay, great.
I end up podcast.
We
have 2 glasses.
We have 2 glasses of water.
One is coffee and one is Marcus.
Not for guess. Yo, what? Yeah. Right, but so like that's a major issue that I see, and with those 2 things together, I mean, their own susceptibility to negative emotion.
Right, because before.
What time will y'all know that you're doing this?
It's 2 o'clock.
55? Yeah.
Oh, okay. The camera was name?
You need water? You can get water for you.
I didn't stop it. Nah, I just was looking at the
You were bring it, Mosey? Yeah. Bring
I could
it.
just drink out Marcus' water too, it don't matter.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No problem.
Don't stress yourself, I'll just drink Marcus's water.
You sure? Because,
Okay.
Marcus got those.
Let me just drink a little more water.
Oh no. Yeah. Drink it. Yeah. So this is a break, or we just?
Yeah, I took advantage of that. I had to move. Sorry.
Oh.
recording nicely though, right? Because no one's actually going to record.
Yeah.
Well, no,
You didn't touch it, right?
No, you go. I didn't, but no, you got me second guessing. Yeah, we good.
You know what's funny? That we keeping it all this week. Nah.
That'd be garbage. That'd be garbage.
What to do? Keep it in.
And we're back, dog. And like, nah, that's no.
And we're back. Water things, right?
Yeah.
right.
Right.
Yeah, things fall down. So yeah.
So one of the things, especially when it comes to social media, that I think about would be, I remember when I was graduating, I had just started the charity. I had won a couple awards, and at school I had won like Student of the Year, and I was so excited. Let me tell you, graduation was a big time for me. And the day after, or the Monday after, a friend of mine was telling me, oh, somebody was saying, how good you did and whatever, but your hair, they're talking about your hair, and I was like devastated. That's one person, right?
Yeah.
Imagine I post that picture
To the world.
right? Nobody ain't care about what accomplishments happen, anything like that.
That's
And then 10 million people, well, I mean, maybe that's an exaggeration, even the 5 that comment and say what's happening to your hair and stuff like that, that could be devastating for a teenager. And so, when we talk about mental health and social media, that's a whole different kettle of fish. And all we could do is to teach our males and females, because males get the feelings hurt too.
Yeah.
You think that like the way that a lot of us put our store and how valuable we are in society by likes, like that affects our mental health too? Yes,
of course, because that's how we're validating ourselves. Because if I'm saying that I'm a good person, or the measure of who I am happens to be my likes, and I get 1 like, then that could do a lot for your self-esteem. A lot of things have to do with perception and how you view yourself. And if you view yourself as a like on Facebook, then that's a shaky ground. And
nobody don't use Facebook, but yeah.
Well,
we get
Instagram, whatever.
But one solution that I have is you have to counterbalance your wanting people's like self-worth, with what you just said, self-awareness. Wanting people like getting validated by other people, but also self-awareness. And to do that, I think we need to be more introspective. And I don't know if one of your recommendations to your clients would be like a diary, writing down a diary,
like journaling.
Journaling. So you journal too?
Yes.
I was going to, but I never started. But I heard I got a lot of advantages.
Just like write down how your day was, or what?
Yeah. So sometimes, and it's good for looking back as well. So I would write like what makes me happy, what made me sad, and just general things that made me upset. And then just continue writing. I don't do it every day, but I try to.
A friend of mine, I went through something recently, and a friend of mine who studies psychology, coincidentally, was telling me to write down something good about myself every day. Like in the morning, I was writing down
like
something.
An affirmation,
Right, and then I put it in a jar. So at the end of September, I'm supposed to read it back.
Yeah.
So
I ain't gonna lie, it feels like BS every morning.
But trust me, at the end of the year, whenever you're opening it, if your self-esteem, imagine your self-esteem is based on what you're saying to yourself, those affirmations, a like on Facebook or Instagram or whatever can't touch you. And so that's the idea. We can't be hungry for what other people say. We have to know within ourselves that I'm okay. I mean, it sounds kind of corny too, but I'm enough.
Yeah, I get it.
Oh,
and that's important.
Sweet, though.
Yeah, I get
What do you see? I hear people talking a lot about Caribbean parents, and how they raise their children, and how it leaves like a lot of negative effects on our behavior later on in life. Do you see that a lot? And what specifically do you see that parents do?
I don't have no children, and when it comes to parenting scares me. Like, and it's only because I know that, and not personally, just psychologically, the influence that parents can have on their children. You're the first teacher. And so how you interact with your children from baby upward forms their personality. And so parenting is so important. I can't tell you that I haven't worked with parents, so I can't tell you, anything personal that I've seen. But just to say that children are sponges. And as a parent, what you say, what you do, how you handle things, that child is going to pick it up. So if you have poor behavior, so like coping, for example, if you don't cope well, your child is going to pick that up, and that could become their coping mechanism. And so all I could say on that is parenting is a very scary thing, and you can't take it for granted, because you potentially have the power to guide your child's life in a positive direction or a negative direction. And most of the time, it would be those things that you're not thinking about, the things that you do that you're not thinking about. That's what's teaching them. And that's scary as hell.
So do you believe in beating your children?
That's a tough one. And I say because I could tell you now that I know the effects of lashing a child in anger and teaching a child that when you're angry or when somebody does something wrong, I have to use my hand. But I grow on licks, so I can't tell you that when my child do something that's not gonna be my first reaction, right? Arlie and I've had that conversation about lashing and stuff like that. So, strange enough, when he talk about children, he don't talk about hugging them, he's talking about you. I will lash my child like this if he
really? Are you not that he would lash though? Are you not that there's a more go to your room kind of thing?
No. I probably will go to your room. No, but I mean, you have to understand each other, because he's saying, like, his mother was telling me, just for example, he was in his room, she went outside, she saw him on the roof, like running around on the roof. He would catch bees and put it in his brother's pants. And
that is wild.
Nah, you gotta get beat for that though. That's
and then he put a bucket of water on a stamper. His mother told him to fill up a bucket. He put it on his stamper and left it on, broke the whole stamper, the whole yard flooded out. I can't tell you. So he know what he say he can beat, because if he get a child like that, he know. But I mean, I can't tell you that I will or will not. I know within myself that there are cases where the thing about it is, if you're angry and you beat your child out of anger,
right,
that is where the danger is.
But the thing, when I look back on like beatings or whatever, like the things that I don't do, it was never because of the lashes per se. It's more like the fact that I disappointed my parents. That's where I know I personally learned. So I feel like when I get children, it can be more about the conversation. I can probably still be if it deserve a lash, because that beating is nonsense.
I think it's certain things.
Right, the conversation is what I think is much more important.
Yes, and that's very true.
Yeah,
I want to talk to you. I want to talk to you about why you did this, rather than every time like swatting or hitting. And then just to share an experience, when you're interacting with your parents, you do something wrong. Their natural reaction from your eyes is to hit. I had an experience where somebody did something, and I see myself raise my hand to hit somebody, and it wasn't something that I consciously wanted to do, but my hand just raised, and I was like,
Like, man, I was a couple of weeks ago, or was it last week? A friend of mine hit me, and it was like, it took me. It was the same thing. Like, it wasn't like a hit, like a thing. It was like, who's that for? And I'm like, what?
Because we mimic behavior that we see, and so unconsciously, that's the way we know how to handle certain things, because that's how we've been parented. So
that's crazy though.
Yeah, for real.
So that's why I'm saying, right. So that's why I'm saying, consciously for me, I don't want to lash, but I don't know what will happen, and I hope I don't do it just packs and.
But what's a recommendation you would say other than lashing a child? That is probably as effective.
Well, the talking is effective, and then taking away things that they like. So I don't believe in the corner thing. Looking at a blank wall. I can't manage.
What's the theory even behind that?
I don't know, but that making sense to me.
None.
What about no dinner tonight?
No dinner tonight.
Like full on starvation.
You're ready for the children.
Oh, it's not like if you just had a pot of rice and like you just get rice tonight, you ain't got no meat.
Sit there and watch me eat.
You know what my father used to do? Well, this is when I was older. Like he would ask me to do something and I didn't do it, and like I would be going like by my grandmother for sleepover or going out, and he would see me walking out the house, and he'd be like, "Where you going? Go back in your bed. Put on your pajamas and get in your bed. You ain't going nowhere." That I know I got bag packed. I don't call my cousins. Everything.
Like plans done met.
That was effective.
And look, that can't happen to me. And then the next thing too, like he would do. My father's way of parenting was embarrassment, to be honest. So like, if you couldn't be on the phone, like don't go on the phone. Don't do this, don't do that. Or he would ask, you gotta clean your room, and you didn't clean it, and I on the phone, he's pick up the phone, you ain't know to clean your room, you must have got cockroach, all sorts of things that they're gonna clean. Okay, bye-bye. And then
isn't that like I don't know anything about psychology, but
it was a joke.
Okay.
So let me just say that it was a joke.
I can see like people. I can imagine people like really out here just embarrassing their kid.
I know. So don't let me promote that. My father, my father's a jokester.
You finally had this. On these things, then you're older too.
Yes.
Right. Okay. Cool.
So and that brings up another point too. You have to know your children and know what will work for them as well. Parenting ain't easy.
In reference to that, when you mentioned banning earlier, like taking away something they enjoy, I don't think that worked on me as a kid because I remember like. My father banned me from Cartoon Network for life. To the point that I was don't remember. Like, I don't remember. I just remember like I wasn't allowed to watch Cartoon Network.
That's a bit harsh.
To the point I was like 21 and I was the TV was on Cartoon Network. He make a comment, but like
wait.
For real, B. But the point is, right? I just replaced it with other things.
Be you for the penny though, B. When that happened,
I think he was making sport the other day. When he
that remember that if that happened like he was like 14, he man like 7 years old, he man like you.
It happened when we had a brown Zanef box.
Oh Lord.
I don't remember what I did.
Channel 14 was Lifetime.
that is so 32 funny.
Was Cartoon.
That is so funny, right?
26 was TNT. Yes,
I was banned from Cartoon Network for life. I don't know what I did, but it wasn't
crazy.
I think it used to be like the length of time his ban used to be. But I just used to replace it with whatever else I felt like. I would just find something else to take up my time. So it wasn't like I was learning not to do this. I was just learning to do other things.
Right. I think again you have to know your child because banning me from stuff would. That's gonna work with me. So again, you have to know your child. I know, like people ask children to write lines, stuff like that.
Like parents tell children write lines?
Yeah, write lines. So some say that works. I don't do the corner stuff. The talking to, you can't go certain places, or if there's another birthday party coming. But the one thing about it is you have to be consistent. And that's a challenge because children know how to manipulate. Like children they ain't got nothing to do, They ain't got to go work, they ain't got to pay no bill. All they have to do is to watch you and figure out how to manipulate you. So you have to be consistent, even in the punishments. If you say, well, next time a birthday party comes up, you can't go. You have to be consistent with it.
I don't know how I can do it because
I frighten.
I laugh. Like my immediate reaction is almost always to laugh or smile. So like if my nephew would do something or say something, and I want to tell him no, don't do that. But I'm saying it while breaking down laughing. I will go like walk away and hope somebody else tells him. I don't know how I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
Like it happens so often, B.
Yeah.
Like some absolute put, but it's just funny. It's funny. It's hilarious.
My cousin has two very active boys, and she found like the sticker method worked. So every time you do something that you're supposed to do, you get a sticker.
Oh, okay.
And then if you do something wrong, a sticker is removed. And then say at the end of the month, you can get a treat or you get a present or something like that. So again, depending on the child, that may work. And that works for them.
That sounds fun.
I think my thing is positive reinforcement.
Yeah.
I always like that you that you reward the good things
behavior
before the bad things happen.
Yeah.
So they will more be encouraged to do good things. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's my approach, but I would still beat it. I would still beat it though, man.
I think you should. Yeah.
I hope I don't,
to an extent.
but I can't tell you.
Like some parents I've heard of some things, or like I remember when I was in school, I've seen children with scars, and then like, what happened there? And they just casually, I got beat last night.
Oh no, that's horrible.
That's
that's not it. So that's abuse.
You deal with a lot of domestic abuse?
Yeah. Well, when I first started.
Do you think that? What do you think the main reason is for the amount of abuse we see in Barbados? Like, we see a lot of women getting chopped up. We see a lot of we see a lot of people getting beat. I spoke to somebody that was part of the crisis intervention center or something like that. Marcel.
Okay.
I thought he was gonna be like, oh no, you mean Maria? Okay, you mean the Maria friend? No. But thing though, I can remember the name. But anyway, but she was telling me about hey mom, she called me. Anyway, she was telling me about the amount of abuse that we would see, and that women are afraid to call somebody or whatever. But also when I just see in the paper that somebody gets shot, somebody gets stabbed, somebody get, it makes you wonder what it is about Bajan men from what you hear, because you would talk to them, that got we feel like we could just do these things.
I don't know if I get that from patients necessarily, but just in general, one, we don't teach our boys how to handle anger. Right? So when men get extremely angry, they feel, you know what? I have the power here and I'm going to exert my power. And so they do it by hitting, cuffing, stuff like that. I was in Queen's Park. This had to be about 2-3 years ago. And just UILB used to meet, the charity used to meet in Queen's Park. And I tell you, I just hear brakes, the screeching for the brakes. A man get out, pelt the woman out the car, give her a cuff, and get in car and went along. And she running behind the car, and she's trying to get onto the trunk, all sorts of madness. And I could not believe it. But then when I stopped and I looked around, everybody was just watching, just like me. Everybody's just watching. So yes, we were shocked, but we weren't shocked enough. We weren't shocked enough to do something about it. And so, depending on the situation, especially if somebody has a weapon, doing something is not an option. But I'm very sure nobody called the police. I'm sure nobody looked out for help, because we've been desensitized somewhat to abuse. Or, does married couple business or couple business.
That's our
I ain't getting in that. So, we're like bystander effect in psychology. You just stand up there and assume that somebody else is going to act, and so I don't do anything. But we need to teach men, boys, women too, because women can be abusers as well, how to handle anger. And this idea that I am so entitled that I can put my hands on somebody else, it goes against boundaries. We have to set boundaries. That is not okay. And from the first time somebody hit you and you say, this ain't it, and move on, then it's going to get better. But if you continue to accept it, because we just poke in the bear, I may hit you a little hit now, I may get a little chuck now, and all I'm doing is pushing boundaries until I can't handle it, and you need to stop it from the time it starts. And unfortunately, we don't do that.
I always thought it was like a scenario where it's what you grew up seeing.
It's not always that case. No, so that's definitely one, because social learning, if I see my parents doing that, I'm going to do that too, or I'll allow somebody to do it to me. But lots of times, because not everybody who's seen it ends up being abusers as well. But a lot of it, as I said, is about power. And feeling that I can exert this power and I have the right to exert that power.
What about, I don't know if you will have people that come to you with it, but girls that will go out their way to try to get you to, I don't want to say hit them, but try to push you buttons to see how far you can go.
What?
Or even a girl, I remember telling a girl I was with said if I didn't really care what I would hit she. That's started my time.
Really? So I want to add to that, right? And it was stemming to my next conversation, my next topic, right? But I have a friend, she had a man, the man used to beat she. 6 months later, she get another man, he's beat she too. At what point do we say there may be something she's doing?
Something she's doing, not something he doing.
Yeah, something she's doing.
I don't know how common.
I can't tell you that.
If I see a consistent, the only consistent thing in something is her, at some point you have to actually look and see, maybe what am I doing to contribute to this? Not saying that what they're doing is right or warranted, but something, maybe her choice in men or something. But maybe she's drawn to a certain type of aggressive man.
But when she said that thing, it kind of like that's what she wants. Like she wants to be, I don't say punished, but like, why would you want that?
I think it shows some people that you care about them that much to beat them.
Right, like,
which is wild to me.
Right, that's something totally different from domestic abuse, as in the exertion of power. So we do know that there are people who like being whipped and stuff like that.
Nah,
but
that wasn't.
To say that
she getting choked in kitchen like.
I don't mean your friend. I mean the person that you're talking about.
Oh,
because
God.
I can't say that it is her, because I know men that no matter what happens, he would never put his hand on a lady. Now, to say that she's doing something to provoke, I don't care what she's doing. You never have the right to put your hand on somebody else.
Even in the event that they put their hand on me?
No, self-defense and things like that, cool. That's a little different. But at the end of the day, you have to assess the situation. You and a female get into a fight. She pushed you. If I was to do it, you're stronger than me. Your reaction to anger is going to be different from mine. So my pushing is going to make you do this. You pushing me in anger is totally different. A lot of people think, oh, she pushed me, so I can push her. But the power balance can be very different. And so the danger and the way you react to anger may be a little different from how she reacts.
But then, let me see you push me, and it's not like I want to hit you, but my reflective action is to push back or to swing.
You need to walk away. And you shouldn't be in a relationship with a woman that bringing that out in you. Neither.
How much do you contribute emotional distress to people doing things that are out of their character and being irrational?
Say that again.
Like how much do you put emotional distress? Like for example, under no circumstances should you hit anybody at all, right? But some things are not that cut and dry.
Okay.
So if I find out, and this is something that I've heard of before, that a man that was married to a woman and things were fine, he was paying the bills, whatever. It was a traditional thing where he was paying the bills, and although she was working, he was paying for majority of stuff. But one day he came to find out that she was having an ongoing relationship with somebody for the last 5 years, right? While they were together, I think married, right? You know about psychological trauma, and you know what psychological trauma could do to somebody's psyche, especially in the moment. Now we having a conversation about rational people making rational decisions. Now there's got sometimes when people in the moment just do things that are just out of their character. So I mean, it's like, you should say that under no circumstances should you hit somebody. By any day, this is what I think that is happening when you find out that somebody was cheating on you. Your idea of the relationship was wrong. All your memories that you had for the last 5 years were wrong. What you think the relationship now is not right, right? Is off. And also the relationship in the future hangs in the balance. The past, the present, and the future, your perception of it is wrong. Everything is wrong, right? That is enough for temporary insanity to do something that you would not usually do.
It's not enough because you get locked up. If you're angry and you're upset and you pick up a gun and you shot the lady, right? You go in prison. Right.
I agree with that.
You put your hands on the lady, you go in prison. Because you are still in control of your person. What happened is that you are so angry. Yes, you're not thinking straight. But you are conscious enough to know where you are, to know that that lady is over there, to go towards her and to hit her or whatever it is that you want to do. So the temporary insanity thing, not gonna work. It is devastating. But again, we have to teach our males and females, our boys and girls, and I keep saying boys and girls because you gotta start from young, right?
Yeah.
That it's never okay to put your hands on somebody. And if somebody is getting to you, and you know when you're in the first stage of a relationship, you know that this person taking you out of your character, walk away.
Yeah.
Because if somebody could cause you to act outside yourself, to lose yourself, then that person has the control. You ain't got no control anymore.
Yeah.
And so, choosing a partner is really, really important.
Yeah.
And sometimes we're drawn to people that we feel like we need to help. And then you go into a relationship and there's nothing you could do.
Yeah.
And then you find yourself in danger.
Sorry, Kofi, but there's got sometimes when and this is now my people that I know personally. Most of the people that I know personally that divorce stuff with me are women, right? And when women tell me that they break their character, usually it is not hitting. It is more damaging things.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So he left his phone, on. Saw messages, right? And he wasn't there, and she started just mashing up things in the house. And then when she told me, well, he had sex with like a bunch of women all this time and I didn't know, and she said that, and because of that I mash up things, it's be like it was wrong, but I can understand how somebody could be going through such a traumatic experience in the moment that they do something just to be act out.
No, it's not that I don't understand it. It is that we have to be able to have enough control, because at the end of the day, you putting yourself in more stress by acting out in this particular way. So you have to know how you handle anger. And if you don't handle it well, then you have to find an alternative. So you gotta know when, like I always say, I know when my walkout point is. So when I absolutely upset, and it's not to say that I would mash up anything or anything like that, but even in my relationship, if I know that there's something that really gets into me and I get angry, I would say, all right, I need a minute. And Arlie does it too. Sometimes he would say, all right, Christa, I need a minute. And I just let him go. And we gotta be able to recognize, listen, I need to walk away before things get a little hectic, and then move away. And you're doing it for yourself. You ain't doing it for the person either. Because and the thing is, you don't know what you're gonna do when you're angry.
Right, yeah.
I can't tell you right now that if you get me angry, that I can just walk out and say, okay, Marcus, bye-bye. I don't know.
In a while, right?
No, me neither.
Right,
Me neither,
so
honestly.
I don't want to say I don't know. I'm not putting myself at risk.
I really have no idea.
I wanted to ask something earlier. You said teach your children, boys and girls, also not to hit, put your hands on someone. But like they go through like bullying and stuff.
Yeah.
So like how, this is kind of a real big tangent, but like how would you advise children to stand up to bullying bullies if that is what you're saying? Yeah,
you see, I don't have an answer for that, because there are scenarios that I have heard and I was like, oh my goodness, I don't know what I would do here. But I do know you don't know the person. Just from a logical perspective, you may say, okay, well, this person keep interfering with me and I need to react. And you come and you say, I can give this person a big shove and this person got a knife in the pocket. Right? And I can't account for anybody else's behavior. So I'm going to go through the steps to make sure that the person is punished. And so lots of times, so people say, go to the teacher and talk to the teacher and do anything. And that comes up sometimes. I know lots of teachers who have stepped in as well. But in that case, you have to antagonize the system until something is done. So I'm not afraid, like I used to say, like to my sister as well, I'm not afraid of like getting in a fight. I ain't gonna fight, because I know I can't fight. Well, I can't say, because if I angry at me. But I know that I'm gonna take this situation to every extent of the law. Everything I need to do to make sure that I get justice. And for me, justice is not busting somebody's face.
Okay.
Right? And so that's the approach that we have to take, because, and I know it's a difficult question, and I know that there are times where you have to stand up for yourself. But again, you standing up for yourself could be death or could be severe injury as well. So you always have to be very careful. But we need to take bullying seriously as well.
Yeah, for real.
So
you made a good point though, that males need anger management, and it should be almost a staple that all males should have some kind of anger management sessions or understanding anger and how to kind of find ways around it. But like, I don't even know how you respond to that, but I'm looking for some way for you to say like they got anger management classes. I'll choose this at 6.
But you know what? It's really culturally, right? Because when a man expresses anger, it's accepted. So when you vex and you say, I would just cuff you in your head, that's cool. Like,
but that's
normal.
I would say that's tradition even.
Yes. But you say, I feel really sad, I feel a little depressed about something today and whatever, and somebody may respond to you, man up.
Yeah.
But
right?
Like, you're just supposed to accept that something happened, you're just supposed to get over it. But
exactly.
That's possible.
And so because of that, men sometimes find it difficult to express certain feelings.
Classic masculinity, Marcus.
Exactly. So that's really an individual thing. I don't know, especially if I end up having boys. I'd have to teach my children or my boys that, it's okay if you're upset. It's okay to cry if you need to cry and what's not. But the reality is he's going out into a world that if he expresses his emotions like that, there's, you're going to have a stigma as well. And, that's really hard.
Yeah.
To say that I have a solution is a bit far-fetched, other than from parents, we have to teach our children that it's okay to show particular emotions. But then make it comfortable for guys to be normal around you. So you don't always have to be macho all the time. Like if you're upset about something and you cry, you gotta be able to be with a friend that, all right, you crying, B, that's cool. And not like, use a whip.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, well, I guess that's pretty much it. Christa, thanks for coming. But there isn't one more thing. Listen, I just feel very, is it scared? Is it, the more that I think about Barbados, the more that I have like a fear of, like now I've been having like a hyper focus on like women and what women go through. And I'm somebody that likes to think of a cause, like find out what the issue is, figure out what the cause is, and then target right. And I don't like to just say extravagant, exaggerated things, right? And I feel that one of the main things about our culture is the music. I think the fact that our music is kind of stems around the objectification of women, and that is not even an exaggeration. The fact that it's like 3 topics every single year, the one season we have, one of the major topics is talking about a bumper. And then when you talk about the bumper, like it is not attached to a human being. To the point where some men saying grab the bumper, trip in the ground, like it's out, damage it. Eventually, like if you look at like gangster rap, and how gangster rap kind of like it's like a two-way street. So gangster rap would influence men that music is a lifestyle for them. And then also when they get into gangster rap, they kind of make music that has impacted. Right. So it's kind of like a two-way thing, and then it becomes like this like feedback loop, and this like going back and forth all the time until it becomes something like huge. For us, that is treating women like crap. Honestly, but it is talking about bumpers and talking about.
I like that you mentioned gangster rap just now, because if you look at even dancehall music, their relationship with their gun sounds more loving than their relationship with women.
Exactly. Yeah, that's so true, because that's true actually, and I feel that is one of the reasons why our culture is so sexualized, and it's like okay. It seems okay for that men will feel like it's okay to actually like pursue these things, because it's like to think that how we have like instructional songs, like what to do to the bumper, what to do when you approach the bumper, whatever. To assume that only stays on the dance floor and that mentality doesn't like overflow into just our way of life. I find that would be hard to believe if I thought otherwise. So like, I don't know what to do. Because to change our culture is wrong. I mean, like, to change soca music into, like, gospel, that's, like, wrong. But I don't know if that problem is just bigger than us.
Right, and, we need songs that celebrate. So, you're talking about the bumper, but, songs that celebrate women, as you're saying, and not, songs that see them as objects. And I think that part is possible. But unfortunately, I could say it is what it is. And so in our own individual ways, we have to be able to stimulate the discussion and also stimulate some of the solutions as well. I think women go through a lot and we take it for granted. Even when, you know, you see women act a certain way, sometimes men don't understand what we go through on a daily basis, back to the sexual harassment topic. And the risk of being sexually abused. Now, there is a risk for men as well, but the discussion, not
No, they think Marcus said that from a genuine.
You ever had to counsel somebody that was sexually abused?
A male.
No.
Oh.
So you've never had men that were sexually abused come to you?
Men don't usually come.
Oh, well, yeah, that's true too. That's which is the main problem. That men don't even.
And if I did, I couldn't tell you anyhow. But yes.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Right.
It's like,
and then it's usually.
I really wish we would treat mental health like we treat like your body, because I mean, it's go to the doctor for a checkup, but most of us have never seen a therapist.
Yeah. And when you say sexually abused, men being sexually abused, you mean by women or by other men?
Oh, I was talking about women, but other men as well.
In what scenario, like, do men, is it like the woman would drug the man? Like, how does that work?
If you think would it be your penis can grab a fat is sexual abuse?
Oh, well, but I ain't getting therapy for that though.
I mean, yeah, no.
I'm not going therapy for
you won't,
so
but you won't, but you don't know who might think, like.
Exactly.
That's the first thing he ever got grabbed, he didn't want to do it for that special person.
Listen, and, you know,
Who is that?
I have heard of an experience where, and it's not only one man, it's two people that I know who have been stalked. And women so every time he goes to a party, a woman follows him. If he's standing up, like just normal, she come and grab him and grab his person and stuff like that. So, you know, you could say, that ain't anything, but it happens. And unfortunately, I know of one of the cases where the person went to the police station and the police officer laughed and he went about,
Okay, I get you. I was thinking rape. That's why.
Okay.
And I honestly can't think without drugs involved.
Yeah.
I can't really think.
It is definitely possible in the same way, and it could be drinking and stuff like that. Yes, it's possible. But you in a situation where you like a particular girl, just as it is the other way around, and things start to get hot and heavy, and you ain't really about that, or you don't have a condom, so you don't want to do anything, and she like, you're doing it now, and you get forced to do it. Now, because it's not common, or we've been socialized to think of it as a joke, we kind of just push it aside, but it is definitely possible. And to the men that have gone through that, it's extremely traumatic, especially because he can't tell anybody, because people are going to laugh at him.
I agree.
So you're here laughing at my makeup, Marvin.
Huh?
You already laughing at my makeup,
Right then?
Yeah, you make up my sporty. My make up sleep for you get touched.
Me, you don't know what happened.
Yeah, it's true.
Or a man who has been abused as a child, and then a woman come and does that to him again. In that, the scenario here.
Yeah. Agreed. Okay, yeah, I get it.
Right. And the thing is, people go through their individual things. When you meet somebody, you meet in the shell. Like, you don't know what their life experience has been. And so one inappropriate move could trigger something else, right? So.
Yeah. Okay. Christa, thanks for coming. It was great.
It was informative.
Very informative.
Yes.
I really liked it.
You all are very interesting. Especially you, Marcus. You haven't changed one bit.
Man, it's really good to see you again, though.
Yes, it was nice being here.
But anyway, I guess that's it.
Yeah, no podcast.
Lizzie, I know podcast.
Information, knowledge, observation.
Yeah, Christa, thanks for coming again.
No problem.
Producer D, look at yourself.
Green Shanty, all up in Toronto.
Green Shanty. And Short Gabby.
Short Gabby, I'm talking Short Gabby. I'm working with that at all. We ain't working with Short Gabby.
I know podcast. We out.
Thanks for watching the I Know podcast, information, knowledge, and observation.
Don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe to our channel. You can find us on Facebook or Instagram at I Know Podcast. We'll see you soon.